Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break, we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at ubnradio.com.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another Friday evening. This is that wonderful time of year, and I don't know why Donald Trump waits until now to lose his damn mind.
You sure did.
Thank you to all my friends around the world, and thank you to those who are tuning in for the first time. This is Focus with Ron Frierson, and there's a few things I want to get to today. First off, Focus with Ronnie Frierson is brought to you by Javago Watches. Visit us at www.javagowatches.com.
Is that the watch you have on, the Vago?
It is exactly
That's
the watch
gorgeous.
I have
That's
on.
gorgeous.
Yes, it is. It is.
Wow.
Go check out the different styles they have, and you will not be disappointed. Various styles for various occasions, and this is the perfect time of year. Great gift. They're kind of
Get a Javago
expensive.
watch for Christmas.
They are very expensive, and but you can get a discount if you go to Amazon and get them. Great watches, and yes, they are sponsoring. Yes, I do get a complimentary watch. I feel special.
Nice.
Also, you guys have to notice that I am wearing my Emporia State shirt. It's my alma mater, Emporia State, Emporia, Kansas. Our football team did really, really well this year. I'm waiting to see what the basketball team does, and so I have some Hornet pride going on here.
All right.
So the way I start off the show every week, I started off with my thoughts. And my thought this week, which is my customary rant, is basically leadership matters. It matters in every organization. It matters culturally. And we get what we deserve. So historically speaking, we can go back to George W. Bush and the decision to go into Iraq. And by him going into Iraq and the way that thing turned out and how it polarized us, you know, the advent of Fox News and how they went their route of always toting the line of the conservatives, and then other networks like MSNBC toting the line of the liberals, we became very fractured. Then from there, you fast forward to the election of our first African-American president. And the types of vitriolic messages and sayings and rumors that went on regarding that entire process, and how they weren't clearly debunked by the right. It was the only time in history where you can have two opposing rumors that didn't counteract. On one end, he was accused of being a black militant because he was in a Reverend Wright's Christian church for 20 years. And on the other end, they're saying that he was a Muslim. You one or the other. You can't be in a Christian church for 20 years and being a Muslim. It just didn't make any sense. But they let it go. The next thing you know, he's elected president, and then you got the Tea Party uprising, and you have people saying all types of foolishness about him, and it just gave more fire to the loony part of the right. Not all Republicans are loony. Most Republicans are. I shouldn't even say that. Most people aren't loony. There is a fringe, though, and sometimes the fringe is always the most vocal. But we gave a megaphone to that vocal fringe. And that vocal fringe felt empowered. That vocal fringe decided they were going to show up in greater masses to the polls, and they started to elect the people to put into Congress and other places in state legislatures that more closely reflect their opinions. And so what you get is that you start to get this bubbling up of this fringe element within our government, and then they start to get real power. And with real power, now you get some of the things you have now. These are the conditions and the environment that gave birth to a Donald Trump. There would not be a Donald Trump if there wasn't a Tea Party. There would not be a Donald Trump if there wasn't a right-wing fringe that was supported by Fox News for ideological purposes that are driven by profit for the most part, because it's still a profit-taking media. And now Donald Trump is showing you who he is. And I used to take him as a joke. I used to think that he was just in it just for campaigning because he loves the attention. And even I had to really correct myself, because you can still do stuff because you like the attention and still at the same time want to follow through with some of these loony sort of ideas he comes up with. I think he went too far this time, though. I think in him and his ideas about almost quarantining our brethren, our fellow Americans, simply because of they decided to go to a mosque instead of a church or instead of a temple, is so anti-American and is so dangerous, and it sends off the wrong message everywhere. People in other parts of the world look at us differently than we look at ourselves. Picture if you are a kid and you are growing up in, let's say you're in Uzbekistan, let's say you're in anywhere outside of Germany, Austria, let's say you're there, and you're looking at the television and you see this orange guy with crazy hair, and he says all types of craziness, you know it's crazy, and they said, wow, America they really like him, they may vote for him. That's how they look at it. We're used to seeing Donald Trump. We're accustomed to seeing his crazy antics and his crazy hair. We've become used to it. It's kind of numb for us. We don't see how, if he were to burst on the scene right now for the first time, of how strange he looks and how the things he says are so outlandish, because we've kind of treated him like he's that crazy uncle at the Thanksgiving Day table that says crazy things and we don't take him seriously. But other places around the world, they take this stuff seriously. They do. He would be the worst thing to ever happen to us. And now I think that the right is beginning to see where they messed up, that they've probably fed this beast a little too much. And now it's to a point where they have to deal with this beast. And what are they going to do? So that's my rant for today. And it's open-ended. And before I go any further, I want to first off, let me give you my phone number for those who would like to call in with questions. Phone number is area code 323-843-2826. Again, 323-843-2826. And or you can email me at ronnie.frierson@gmail.com, but in the subject line, put in focus, so I know you're talking about the show and you're not trying to get in with me or something, because I'm being good. Like I'm being good these days. So, so my guest for today. First, I have my guest contributor who's been here a zillion times and will probably be here a zillion more. I just like the stuff he says. Cool. My friend, and he's probably the best dressed guy we'll ever have on the show, because that's his business.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Woody Wilson. Hey, how's it going, Woody?
Thank you. Hello.
Yes. And I have another brother of mine who's a great guy and one of the coolest people I know, Mr. Serge Noorani, all-around entrepreneur, does everything, does yoga. I remember yoga class we were in at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Serge and I were in a yoga class at 5 something in the morning. Serge was wide awake. I was in there just falling asleep.
I remember that day. You were very tired.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I was hurting that entire day. So no yoga for me at 5 in the morning. But welcome to the show, Serge.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yes. So, okay. So I want to talk about Trump a little bit, and I want I want your thoughts, and you chime in whatever you want to on how. Do you think he's serious? Like, do you
he's
think
absolutely serious. That's the unfortunate part about it all. He's dead serious, and he's got a following, and he's building momentum, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. We got to do something about it.
Okay. So I heard this comedian speaking, and a comedian said that he walked into a bar, and this comedian did impressions, celebrity impressions. He did an impression of Donald Trump, so he sounded just like him. And so comedians say, I walked into the bar, and Donald Trump was sitting at the bar, and he looked really down. And I was like, Donald, you doing great. And so why are you down? He said, listen, I made a bet with a friend that I would get the Republican nomination, and I just took the bet thinking it would be cool, but I never expected I would actually win. And now I want to get out, but I can't. I keep saying crazy stuff, and my poll numbers go up. He said, I'll go out there and I'll say something stupid and thinking that now they're really going to kick me out now. No, I'm going to be able to get out of this now. He said, but it doesn't happen. That's crazy. So, but that says a lot more about us, or at least about the primary
small faction of us.
Yeah, it says more about the Republican voters than, especially the primary voters. But I don't know. I don't think he really wants it. I really don't. I think that he's waiting for this thing to implode, and I hope. And I don't know, the conspiracy theorists. I mean, makes me wonder whether or not he's secretly real cool with Hillary, and he's like, listen, Hillary, I'm gonna give this thing to you on a platter. I'm gonna say this crazy stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
I just wonder what his life is going to be like after politics. Like, okay, he may become the nominee, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But I would hedge to say he's not going to win, right?
Yeah.
So what is he going to do after this is all over and he doesn't have the fanfare? I mean, he's just going to become some right-wing, activist that's, is his 9 to 5 going to change? Are politics going to become his new 9 to 5?
It's going to be The Apprentice on Fox News.
Well, that got canceled. That's not coming back.
No
one would watch it. In Dubai, they drive. That hotel they're building in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
They had gold lettering Trump while they were building it. It's on the ground.
Really?
It's on the ground.
He's stupid.
He's ruining himself.
Yeah, he's stupid. You can't buy that type of stupidity. You had to already have it in you, and he's just a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. All that being said, he's still up in the polls, but in New Hampshire at least, Chris Christie has now moved into second place. Ted Cruz, I believe, is in third, but Ben Carson has dropped.
Right.
But with Ben Carson, whether he's at the top of the polls or at the bottom, he still acts as if he's asleep. No, he's just never awake. He prescribes. You know what Ben Carson is? Mm-mm. Okay, Ben Carson. Serge doesn't like to get into politics much, which is not an odd thing because I know AJ Reeland. You know my friend AJ. Uh-huh. Yeah. AJ was on the show with me. He doesn't really try to get into politics. He just tries to maneuver the universe as it is and does what he feels he needs to do because similar to what we spoke about, he thinks there's so much negativity out there and you got enough to deal with, so you don't want to have to deal with that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I respect and understand that. But Ben Carson is a neurosurgeon, the only African-American on the Republican side of the aisle that's looking to become the presidential candidate.
And he's been hanging out with Snoop Dogg.
Has he?
I don't look at his eyes.
Just because. And the people that can see me on screen, this is Ben Carson during a news interview.
Eyes totally closed.
Yes, and we're going to do well in New Hampshire. He's a neurosurgeon. He's a very smart man, an accomplished smart man.
Brainiac.
But he's just out of his element. He's just what's the Snoop Dogg rapper that used to be with him back in the day, Little Half Dead, the dude that like Little Half Dead, just out of it, and one step in this world and one step in another. But anyway, so Ben Carson, he was formerly in the polls, but now he's gone, and primarily due to some information that came out saying that, some of the stuff that he claimed to have done when he was a youngster, maybe he didn't do it. And these things were like bad things. Like he claimed that he stabbed somebody or tried to stab him, but the belt buckle stopped it, and that's how it got. And
Right.
that made him turn his life around.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, okay, that didn't happen.
Right.
So basically, he's not guilty of attempted murder,
Yeah.
and that's a bad thing.
What does everybody think? A little gangster in you makes you a better person.
I have no clue.
Like the harder your life was growing up, the more legit.
You know
were.
what? You know, I've had conversations like that too, wherein, and maybe you can tell me about this, Serge. You ever? I call it the Tupac syndrome, where some people think that they measure, their misery, and that's what makes them, more equipped or makes them cooler. So, in other words, I mean, I've had discussions like this with some of my family members, wherein they had been to jail or did that, and so I've been to jail. I was like, so
like a badge.
like I'm like,
Badge of honor.
so am I less cool because I decided not to go somewhere where other dudes may think I'm cute? I mean, come on now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm supposed to be penalized for making the right decision. I could have easily done something stupid to go there as well, but I didn't.
Right.
And I see a lot of our youth that get caught up in that whole thing. They just try to wear it as a badge of honor where it shouldn't be.
Right.
You know, in your culture, you're Pakistani, right?
Yep.
That's like unheard of in a lot of the Eastern
pretty
cultures.
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, it's the look down upon, you know.
See, that's some of the things in some of these other cultures I admire, and I think some of these things that we deal with, Woody, are basically ramifications from what's happened during our time in bondage in this country and the history for the American blacks. Because a lot of the Africans, like our friend Francis, they don't look at it the same way. They look
Right.
at it more like what Serge looks at it, where in regards you want to uphold your family name, and these things are a slight, wherein here, we think it's thug life.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's
I don't
very
know.
confusing for these youth today.
It really is.
I mean, their images are all plastered on television, all these reality shows, and they just pick up kind of the behavior from these shows,
Yep.
and it's
Mhm.
they're lost, right?
Yeah, I'll say so.
Yeah.
So I was saying that Chris Christie is now in second place in New Hampshire.
Is he second?
He's second place in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Ted Cruz is he's the smart one, and he's dangerous too.
Cruz is dangerous.
Ted Cruz is and he's dangerous and he's smart. He's a very intelligent individual. I think he went to Harvard or Yale Law School as well. He tries to come off as a country bumpkin. He's a PK like me, a preacher's kid like me. And so, he has that silver tongue like I do. He knows something else. So. He's dangerous. His policies are Trump light.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a Donald Trump, but just a little more articulate and has a
On a
little
diet.
more restraint.
Right.
He knows that, okay, I can push this envelope in certain settings, but in other settings, I'm just going to sit back and let Donald speak for me. And hopefully, if he burns out, I'll be there to pick up the pieces and have his supporters on my team. So, but one thing about this entire process is that it's been very entertaining. And the media loves it. They love
Trump.
They love Trump.
Free press. He's loving that.
But do you guys think that this is good for our democracy?
Well, I mean, free speech, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we all have the right to say what's on our mind. Good for our democracy? No, I don't think it's good for our democracy. I don't think it's good for, when you look at the leaders of our country and you just expect them to be the ultimate, extremely intelligent. They want the best for the country.
Mm-hmm.
They want to heal the separations and races and economic divisions. And Trump he's not running to do that. He's running to
No.
divide the country. He's dividing the country now. He's dividing the world.
Yeah.
And
This is some weird, crazy stuff that's going on. I mean, this is stuff that you wouldn't think that we would have to deal with here. I mean, this is craziness. I mean, for him to say some of the things he said, and the fact is that it should be laughed off. It should be laughed off, and he should be kind of moved to the little school bus,
Right.
where the special kids go, and it's laughed off. But the thing is that he's tapped into an ignorance and a fear that is prevalent in certain parts of this country.
You know what I wonder?
What?
Where are they getting these? Who are they polling? Who are they polling?
Yeah, because they haven't polled. Exactly.
They haven't asked me anything.
They haven't asked me anything.
Anyone I know.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing going into the last race where Obama was running for re-election. The polls had him totally out of it. And I was hoping and praying that America
You
was...
were watching Fox News polls. Cause
I was. I do watch Fox News.
Yeah. See, the Fox News polls were all wrong because they were only asking people in Mississippi.
Right. In Alabama.
You know, in Mississippi and Alabama. Who you going to vote for?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's... So
with Trump, I don't know who's saying... How are they leading? Like, who are they asking? Where are the numbers coming from? That's what I want to know.
I have no clue. I don't think they have a clue. But the thing is that the good thing is that we're just talking about Iowa and New Hampshire. Once things go into the general election, I think that calmer heads will prevail because historically in primaries, candidate runs ultra to whatever side of the aisle they're on. So if they're on the left, they lean far left. If they're on the right, they lean far right. And then once the general election comes up, they kind of come back to the center, so to speak. But on the left side, in regards to Hillary, the more I listen to Bernie Sanders, I like him.
I like Bernie Sanders. I do.
The
like
more I listen to Bernie Sanders, I like him. Now they're going to peg him. You know who Bernie Sanders is? Serge?
Tell me.
Bernie Sanders, he's running for the Democratic candidacy.
Okay.
And he's running, his primary opposition is, he's running against Martin O'Malley, but his primary opposition is Hillary Clinton, of course. Bernie, he's always been, you would like him. He's always been a proponent of social justice, and he calls himself a democratic socialist. But you notice that second word, socialist, is a bad word in America. So what they always say is that he's a socialist, like trying to compare him with communism. But in his mind, he's just a democratic socialist, meaning that there are certain things that the government should be responsible for in regards to making sure we have a level playing field and fairness in regards to health care, in regards to education and things of that sort. And he's actually he's making a lot of sense.
Making a lot of sense. He just looks so old, though. I wish he didn't look that old. You know, but he makes a lot of sense.
You care what he looks like.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
I mean,
he wants somebody fresh and athletic, you know, like in
the
office.
press.
Yeah,
like
in case he has to punch Putin in the mouth or something. You know?
Yeah, Putin.
But I do like Bernie, though.
Yeah, he makes a lot of sense. And the thing is that if this, I don't know. I just don't know. If Donald Trump won the Republican side of the aisle for the candidacy, and Bernie Sanders won Democrat,
which could have happened if Hillary's not.
Yeah, that's true. It could happen. I wonder who will win that race though between Bernie Sanders and Donald.
Well,
I would hope Bernie.
I would hope Bernie. Yeah,
he will be a major disruption to the system. Donald would too, but Donald would be a major disruption to the world. It would be World War III. It'll be wars starting in places that we haven't even. Moldova
we'd be at
war
with
fighting
Canada.
against. Yeah, Moldova would be fighting the Republic of Hawaii that decided to become its own country, all because Donald Trump said it would be straight up hell on earth if he won. And I know that sounds crazy and hyperbolic, but
you're right.
Exactly. Exactly. So I don't know. But so Bernie Sanders is on that side, and he's doing what he went to Baltimore, and he spoke to the African American community. And one thing he said, which made a lot of sense, that's why I kind of said, okay, Bernie. He said, yeah, he told the media, I don't want to answer any questions about ISIS. I'm talking about Baltimore today. I'm talking about what's going on in the urban centers around this country, how going up and down these streets, there are no banks, but there's check cash in places everywhere.
And liquor stores.
There's, and this goes into poverty. Now, there's a lot of poverty in this country, which is the most wealthy country in the world. A lot of it is, again, capitalism run amok. Now, I love capitalism. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest things, but anything that's pure, there could be a problem with it because capitalism doesn't take into account human greed. You only judge yourself based on the people living next door to you for the most part. And so the people living next door to you are, multimillionaires like you, then you don't fathom the problems of someone that's trying to get by on $25,000-$30,000 a year. It doesn't relate to you. Don't
Can't
understand.
relate. You don't know how much milk costs.
Exactly. But you don't know how much milk costs. But that's the key too. A lot of these proponents of capitalism, they like the flat tax. Where it tax everybody 10% across the board. That doesn't do anything for you. So you get flat tax, that's still left with a certain amount of disposable income. But there are certain things in life that cost the same for everybody. So if you make $5 a day, and if you got to buy a gallon of milk, that's a big, huge chunk of your income.
Yep.
Now, if you make $5,000, $50,000 a day, that doesn't matter. The percentage that it takes for you to buy certain things that are staples that are necessary in life, it doesn't take as much of your income away by doing that. And so the flat tax, that little 10% to a millionaire may be nothing, but 10% to a person that's barely making it is a lot.
Well, loopholes right now will allow for some millionaires not to pay any tax at all.
I know.
So that's where the benefit, I think, 999 came in. Who was that?
That was Herman Cain.
Herman Cain, 999.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him?
He went back to making pizzas.
He made pizza?
Yeah.
Pizza is just good industry, though. I just
It
want to
is.
eat tonight.
Make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Make a lot of dough.
Yeah. Woody got the zinger of the day, the pun of the day.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Makes a lot of dough.
Yes, sir.
Serge actually owns a few restaurants.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. So tell me, I have a question about what do you think about the minimum wage and the increase in the minimum wage? We probably disagree on it. So
Of course, I mean,
because
Then we get back to the food.
you own the places. So
right. It's pretty much
How much is minimum wage now?
right now. I think it's about 10.
$10 an hour?
Yep,
Mhm.
$10 an hour. It was actually at 9, I believe. I just got out of the industry. Just closed up the Quiznos. Wasn't really profitable.
Mhm.
So, but when I was in business, I mean, if revenue is coming in and you're making money, I mean, I'm all for it. Because the rich gets richer, and I just believe everybody should be able to make money. So
Yeah. One thing that I've always admired about Serge is he's a
Humble guy, huh?
not just humble. He's part of humble. Yeah, it depends on which mood you catch him in. Sometimes he's humble.
Oh, really?
Sometimes he's humble. Sometimes he's just hard, like diddied out. So,
Diddied out.
yeah,
Bling.
he's dancing and stuff. So, but it's that he's very empathetic. He can see. Similar to myself, what I like, one of my own characteristics is to somehow be able to put yourself in another person's shoes. I mean, really try to see something from their perspective. Serge is really good at that as well. So,
Good man.
so part of this thing about social justice, cosmic justice, the universe, the Lord, these things are parts of him that I really admire, and it's the way he lives his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could you believe he used to be how much did you weigh?
I was about 210.
Okay.
210, 205. Yeah, it's pretty.
You are heavier than that, man.
Was it heavier?
You're heavier than
Okay. Was it 230?
that. He was heavier than that, but yeah, and he just
Was it
decided.
the Quiznos you helped lose your weight?
Yeah, you know what? All those GMOs and all those, it's the food. It's
Yeah.
definitely the food. It's all in the food, and when you're in the
I hear you're into health and nutrition.
Totally. I've been trying to live a very non-vegan, non-GMO life, and it's changed my life. I've lost a lot of pounds, and I feel better. I could breathe better. I could live better. I could speak better.
I'm going to give my wife a big present for Christmas. What can I do for my libido?
Oh
Give
my
her a whole
God.
experience, man. I'd give her, some.
You said, hold on, don't say that. He said, "What can you give his wife for the libido?" And you said, "I could give her a whole experience." It's like, Serge.
Hey, check yourself,
Hey,
man.
man.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of personal.
Ron switched that all up. On
No,
us.
yeah, my mind just goes off sometimes. But I was going to say this, because I brought it up a few weeks ago. I think Woody was here when I was talking about like poverty and how and it's a cycle there, because the kids grow up and they're not properly educated. What part of education is being able to absorb what's going on in the school, and you have all these distractions. And one of those major distractions is sometimes you can't concentrate because you're hungry. Kids in inner cities and going to school or eating candy to get by, or eating a Snickers bar, acting like that's a meal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the lack of nutrition in developing brains can lead towards an inability to learn properly, which can lead towards it can lead towards behavioral problems. It can lead obviously towards the inability to learn. So next thing you know, you got somebody who can't learn in school. They end up dropping out, or they may push them through the system, but they're just not properly educated. So when you educate someone, you have to nourish that entire being as a child. And you and the stuff you like to do with education, have you ever thought about somehow, because I know you've done a lot of research in regards to like GMOs and chemical contents of food and unhealthy types of habits we have in our own diets. Have you ever thought about trying to put together some sort of campaign wherein you can approach schools or do something to prepare meals for youngsters, or have you thought about anything like that?
Definitely. I mean, a couple years ago, this is just me. A couple years ago, my mom passed away from cancer, and my goal was just to eat very healthy. And yeah, I've thought about meal programs. I've created a system at home where I just meal prep every Sunday, and I've created this system. So I believe I can share it with the world. I want people to eat healthy. I think just matters. I mean, some of the food that you eat in this that we're influenced by television or whatnot, it really affects us.
When you meal prep, what do you make when you meal prep on Sundays?
So I get a lot of pre-made salads from Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, and then I use those pre-made meals and then meal salads, and then I get I just meal prep a bunch of like asparagus, broccoli, tomatoes, cut them up, and then I just combine the two. And
so you're vegetarian?
I wouldn't say I'm completely vegetarian. I went vegan for about 30 days last year.
And then got mad at everybody.
Biting heads.
Got mad at everybody.
You know what? Tell you the truth, I had the most energy that I've ever had in my life. I
Really?
swear to you. I've never had that much energy. And you have those mood swings where you're craving meat, and I think we're just adapted as humans like that.
Right.
But it changed my life. And you get used to it,
Yeah. Well, I both of you guys know I haven't eaten red meat or pork in 15, 16 years. I don't eat red meat or pork at all. Woody had brisket today.
I had a brisket. Yeah. So, if you catch one of them brisket burps, I'm sorry. I apologize for that, man.
No, I've seen some of the things that Serge has put together, some of the meals that he's prepped, and it looks pretty good. And he's actually prepared some stuff for me, and it was great. It was fantastic. And I know that you are thinking about, or at least at one point you're thinking about, like a catering service. I would love for like our schools, or I have a passion for youngsters and because I know that even with me, and I went to graduate school, I got a master's, but I didn't really take school as serious as I should have. I ended up learning later on how important it was. And I think a lot of it I got by because I was an athlete, played basketball, and even in college. But then when I went back to get my master's, I really because I was paying for it for the first time, I wasn't on scholarship, I had really kind of bunkered down. And I was like, you know what? If most of us didn't have the opportunities and the lucky breaks that I had, and you meet people in your life, friends in your life that get stuck in a certain area, in a certain place, because they didn't get exposed to those same types of opportunities that I had for second chances or the leeway for whatever reason. And it's like, what if they had really taken that advantage or had those types of opportunities in regards to education? How could their lives have turned out differently?
Totally different. It would have been
completely different.
Completely different.
I mean, sometimes, and I really, I thank God for this, but I mean, I wonder sometimes, like, what if I couldn't have played basketball when I wasn't taking education seriously?
Yeah, and you were from Flint, right?
Yeah, Flint and Saginaw, yeah. And what if I had not taken it, what if I couldn't play basketball and I just been like just goofing around, just goofing around dude, and I was just goofing around. But I got opportunities and it wasn't about my capabilities. I had the capacity to do it, but I just didn't really put that much emphasis on it until I actually saw that this is important. And I was able to see it was important when I still had a chance to do something about it. But a lot of people don't get that same sort of
they don't get the opportunity.
They don't get the opportunity.
Exposure. It's all about exposure and
Exactly.
seeing the goal in front of you, knowing it can be obtained. There's people in South Central that never been to the beach.
That's correct.
They just don't leave the environment within their neighborhood. Their experiences they're made up of their experiences, and that's all they know. So it's really sad. I mean, but if we had education, if everyone was afforded a great education, then there would be more opportunities, and they would be exposed to more opportunities.
Really quick, let me give the number again for those who want to call in. Area code 323-843-2826. Again, 323-843-2826. If you want Serge to make you something really healthy, 323.
Call now. Call now.
Call now.
5 minutes.
He has 6 salads sitting underneath the desk.
I deliver.
323-843-2826.
And if they smell like brisket, what's up.
Oh no.
Oh my God. So the stuff in Chicago, all of this kind of one thing lends to the other, because there's always someone to prey on the poor. Either other poor because they're put in a very difficult environment. It could be, like we said, the check casher places, the rent-to-own places. There's industry set up, and I said last year because economic development is where I made most of my money, is in my business, and how you can always tell by the businesses that are in a certain neighborhood what type of population lives in that neighborhood, and lots of times there's either predatory businesses that are there. Even retail. Some people get happy because they get a certain retail establishment in there, but most of those retail dollars don't go right into that community. As retail dollars go out somewhere else. You don't see. So in regards to manufacturing, which tends to add value to an area because companies have to invest in plants, property, and equipment. And so when you put a large investment like that and you need specialized skills of workers, then they typically used to be the traditional, historically, the types of positions that pay pretty well that you can feed a family on. But those things have gone offshore. So now it's in an information-based society, in an information-based economy, education is everything. So if you have an uneducated population, then you're not going to get the types of jobs. Everyone says, gives me jobs. The types of jobs that you are qualified for aren't the types of jobs that you think you should, you think you should say a job. You don't know what job you want to get, just a job. And that's partially our fault. It's partially our leaders' fault for not preparing a huge segment of our population for this information-based society. And that preparation takes the form of education, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, all the studies show that the middle class is shrinking, right?
Yeah.
So that means, I think when this financial crisis hit in 2009, there were a lot of jobs lost that are never coming back again.
Mm-hmm.
Technology has taken over. People are being overloaded or assigned more responsibility. And so if you don't have a college education, you're going to have a difficult time of reaching that middle class status. I mean, that's just, unless you're an artist or, a singer, rapper, whatever. But, the standards have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Even a master's degree, now, I know people that, you go to Starbucks. You've been to Starbucks, you see older people now working behind the counter. That's the only job that they can get. Corporate America is downsizing and hiring a younger, more aggressive, smarter people, paying them less than they had to pay the guy that was 50 or 60 years old as a CEO. They get a young, smart guy, pay him a little less, $20,000, $30,000 less, and he's capable of doing the job. So the whole market is changing, and as a result, the middle class is shrinking.
And that's why I think that there's such a huge uproar for raising of the minimum wage, because on the side that Serge used to be on, when you were a taskmaster and you owned people that worked for you, you were paying them like 6-7 cents an hour.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm just joking.
That's
No,
cool.
but that traditional stepping stone job, when we were kids, you would work when you're 15 or 16, you work in McDonald's for a summer, and then you just go on. there are like 30 and 35 plus year olds now working at McDonald's because we don't have a vibrant manufacturing sector anymore that you can go. And I'm from Michigan. I remember, when I was a kid, almost every man worked for GM, and they made good money.
Yeah.
Those things went away. Those things changed. And so it leaves a huge vacuum there of opportunities for people that have only reached a certain level of educational attainment. And so that being said, what do these people do now? They have to go towards what jobs are available. And what also happens is that,
service industry jobs,
but credit had to be loosened. I think that's in many ways we were, loosening credit to help people kind of deal with the fact that, okay, you can't do this now anymore. The barriers of entry to home ownership have gone up to the point where, okay, people aren't making that much money. So what we're going to do is that we're going to loosen credit to a point where just about anybody can afford it, but then that comes back on you. So now the credit restrictions are tighter and they're not making as much money. It's just, we need to figure out some way to balance it all.
Well, that predatory lending, I'm glad that's come to a halt. But, also homeless. Every city in America now has a surge in the homeless population.
LA has the second largest in the country.
Wow.
Right.
Second largest homeless population in the country.
And what's first? San Diego, I would think. Average temperature 75 degrees.
I think New
if I was
York.
homeless, I'd go to San Diego.
I go to San Diego. I would go somewhere where there's fruit on the trees.
Yeah.
And somewhere I can
hate
fish.
the cold. Yeah.
Yeah. San Diego would be a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there on the Mexican-San Diego border.
So we have the homeless survival guide over here. We go to San Diego, and then Well, there's a lot in Santa Monica here. I think the largest population probably is New York City.
Yeah, just
which
because
makes
of the
it
massive
because
people,
of the massive people.
Can you imagine living homeless in New York City? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's really
it
rough.
is. It really is. But I don't know. Here, I think because of some policies, public policies, we have a lot of the mentally impaired that are among the homeless population. I understand there's a large population of veterans that are homeless, which is
that should never happen.
Totally anathema to what we've always said.
What was that word you used? What did you just say?
You like that,
yeah.
didn't you? You like that. Anathema. Yeah, I can.
Anathema. What does that mean?
Anathema means contrary.
Okay.
It means opposite.
Why didn't you just say contrary?
Because I have to flex. I got to make people think, baby.
You're flexing that vocabulary muscle.
I have to do it from time to time. I watch enough SportsCenter that I should be able to, turn on History Channel or something, learn something different. So I just taught you something. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Anytime.
I learn something here every day, or every time I'm here. Thanks for
That's good.
That's part of the reason why I like coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's nice. So you made me lose my train of thought with that BS that you just said.
That was your word, though. Could have used contrary.
That's what I thought.
That was. But you noticed it too?
I mean, I didn't know what it meant. That's all I was like.
Yeah, I had to call him out on it. What the hell are you talking about, man?
We just spoke about
are you making up shit?
We just spoke about education. I got two perfect examples about how we need to overload our education system sitting right next to me.
Reading is fundamental.
It's fundamental. No, see, I really did lose my train of thought, but it'll come back to me.
I'm sure it will.
It'll come back to me.
Anathema.
About the homeless.
Yeah.
About the veterans, the way we treat veterans. So this is what we do. We are, we talk a big game. We'll say we're going to send people to bomb people here. We ought to send in troops there. So we send in troops after a big uproar of how we should do this and how we should do that. Within a couple years, we get tired of it, and we want to bring our soldiers home. Then once we bring our soldier home, then whoever brings them home, then somebody's going to say, you brought them home too soon. You should have had them there. We need more people there. And then once we get them here, we don't have jobs for them for the most part. We don't take care of them the way we should.
Oh, you know what? I had an idea.
What's that?
I'm going to run this by you.
Yeah.
You know how we're fighting and overseas and in Syria, and we've got all these prisoners, right, who think they're badasses, right, who like to shoot and kill people on the streets. Why don't we just send them over there and say, you know what, we'll let you out. We'll let you go under one circumstance You have to go and fight in Syria.
See, I ain't like to even frame that. The way you said that, if I was them, I'd go over there and join ISIS. Hey, listen.
Well, hey.
You just said they all murders and kills. Nah, a lot of them in there for nonviolent drug offenses.
Right. I'm not saying those guys. I'm saying the ones that are in there for violent crime. You know, instead of paying the taxes to keep them there and feed them and give them an opportunity. Say, here, we'll give you a gun, fly you over there.
Would you really want to do that, though?
I don't know, man. That kind of makes sense.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. That's terrible, Woody. That's Trump-like.
You know what? I think Trump should add that to his policy. At least we'd start to look into it.
That doesn't make any. I don't think that would be a good idea. Because for one, after the stuff we've seen that's going on in Chicago and in some of these other places, we both know there's been brothers that's been framed here for years that are angry, and that shouldn't be in jail. So you think about that. You think about poverty is probably one of the main reasons that they're in jail in the first place. You do have sociopaths. You do have those. Do I need to tell you what a sociopath is? I just want to be sure before I go any further. You know.
Oh, man, sorry, Serge.
But you do have. You always spit up on Serge. You know. But you do have that segment of society that's crazy. You know, and that's something else. But you do have a lot of people that, due to poverty, I put it like this. And this is just me. If I were like starving and I didn't have any sort of avenues to get a bite to eat and I had children, would I go out and try to shoplift to get my kids something? Yeah. I would.
Any means necessary.
I would. You know, and so a lot of the crime is such a close correlation. Do I need to explain that? I'm just gonna have you guys bring a thesaurus in the dictionary and whatever. There's it's a correlation between poverty and crime. It's very close. The ones that like the murderers and killers, that's a whole different issue. But
that's what I'm talking about.
Most crime is crime that has to do with poverty.
Right.
And so,
not the guys that sold a dime bag and 3 strikes you're out. Not those guys. Incidentally,
they got strikes for dime bags.
If you got caught selling drugs 3 times, the 3rd time 3 strikes you're out. There was a minimum.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true, Serge?
How do I know?
You been out for like how long?
I only sell sandwiches, salads.
So, Serge, tell me this, man. What do you think about? I know you don't want to like get into too much politics. So, but what do you think about the spiritual health of the youth? I know you like that.
Oh, I love it.
See, the spiritual health of the youth.
Spirituality and staying positive is just just all good. You know, I think every human in this world just needs it. You know, you need your mind to take a reset. You need to meditate. You need to practice yoga. And that's just life. I mean, it kind of, some people think negatively about it. You know, they say, "Hey, I don't need to meditate. What is meditation?" They look, we're not so influenced about it, but the consciousness in this country is growing.
Is meditation like prayer?
It is to me, but it all depends on what.
Yeah, it matters how you see it. It could be a form of prayer. It could be a form of affirmations. Thought process. There's a lot of Harvard business studies that prove that meditation changes your DNA and helps you think better and clear. And it's changed my life. I've been doing it for about almost 2 years. So I'm all for it. Look up Deepak Chopra if.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
Oh, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah. And
I believe Big Sean, I was just watching one of his YouTube videos, and he actually looks up to Deepak Chopra as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
He meditates a lot. I heard in one of his rap songs, he said, "I'm going to meditate on that ass."
Deepak Chopra said that?
No,
Big Sean.
Big Sean. Big Sean, man.
I was like, I'm trying to picture Deepak saying something like that. Wow, yo, Big Sean. Well, listen, guys, I know that we're running low on time, but this has been you can tell this is holiday time, and I actually needed this because there's so much heaviness going on in the world, and we were able to make light on some stuff, and one of my close friends texted me and told me, with 35% in the polls, not everyone that supports Donald Trump is fringe, and so maybe I'm mischaracterizing his support base, which has a point there, which is also scary, and it's something to think about. So I was corrected in that instance of whether or not that's the case. So that's something to think about. If it's truly fringe, then why is it 35%? Just that
And growing.
And growing. So is it fringe? That's something that's a whole different issue. But we'll talk about that another time. This is the time where Woody's going to sing us out, and Serge is going to beatbox.
You know what? I'm glad that Daniel Holtzcloth, that asshole cop in Oklahoma, that was stalking the women and raping them, and threatening to throw them in jail if they didn't do what he asked them to do. And so there was an all-white jury. There was 13, I think, black women who brought to the police attention that this was going on. People were kind of hesitating. They didn't know if the jury was going to convict them, but they did. They gave them 125 years. So that's a good day for America.
That gives us hope that there is true justice,
Yes.
and these things happen. And when they do happen, we need to just let it be known. The same way as we kind of tout some of the bad stuff and the injustices. And this situation was a dirty cop that was taking advantage of poor women. He would rape them or sexually assault them. Yeah, all that nasty stuff. And he would use the fact that they are poor and they don't have representation against them, and his power as a police officer, didn't think any of them would tell, or didn't think any of them had any sort of legal recourse. But he got caught. He got caught, and now justice has been served. And once he goes to prison, I'm sure he's going to be really popular.
His mistake was he pulled over a middle-class black woman who just happened to be driving through the neighborhood. So she reported the crime right away, went to the hospital, reported the crime. Then they started the investigation, and then they fired him. So justice was, and hats off to the Oklahoma Police Department for.
Hats off. And in Oklahoma, a state that doesn't get a lot of attention in the right way in regards to social issues like this, if you think about the stuff that happened at the University of Oklahoma and all that type of stuff. Well, guys, listen, it's been real. It's been a pleasure having you here. It's been funny. It's been cool. Serge, you talk too much.
Okay.
Got to work on that.
So when you got I was going to tell you to shut up, but you talk way too much.
Okay.
But it's a real pleasure.
I'm in a meditative state. I just meditated right before I came here.
There you go.
No, it's a real pleasure having you. A pleasure having both of you guys here.
Thank you.
And enjoy the holiday season, everyone. Don't forget the reason for the season. And maybe it's just you treating your fellow man properly, because in this day and age, it's important. Again, this is Focus with Ron Frierson. Have an enjoyable weekend, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Peace.
Peace. Thanks.